Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Monday meeting, and we're first going to start with our organizational meeting. So I'll call the meeting to order, and I would like to have a motion, please. Council, please, Lisa.
Move that council adopt the agenda for the October 16th, 2023 organizational meeting as presented.
Seconder, please, Stephanie. All in favor? Carried. All right, Daryl, I'll get you to take over here.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the 2023-2024 committees and board council assignment. So just for the listening public, so council sits on a number of boards. Usually they are community boards where the town of Drumheller has provided funding, although that could be for other reasons as well. Some organizations have a by bylaw that a town councillor must be in attendance. Some have counselor plus administrative person as well. So usually once a year at this organizational meeting, we make sure that everyone is okay with their what they actually want for the boards that they're sitting on, and then go from there. So this is a requirement from the Municipal Government Act, and that we have to appoint council members to committees and boards for a 1-year term, and that we establish the roster tonight also for deputy mayor for the next 12 months as well. So, and deputy mayor, we have set up to be 2 months at a time. So 6 of you, and so each of you have 2 months of the calendar year. So, and so for the most part, the boards and committees has remained unchanged from the previous years. We have the only recommendations is the removal of Councillor Locker and Councillor Kalafa from the Economic Development Advisory Committee, which is in order to align with the Economic Development Advisory Committee's terms of reference, which is referenced in bylaw 1218. And that the appointment of Councillor Price and Councillor Zariski to the Palliser Intermunicipal Subdivision and Appeal Subdivision Development and Appeal Board, ISDAB, as they currently possess the required training for ISDAB members. So just again, a little note for the listening public is that, so a lot of these, or some of these boards require additional training. So in the case of the ISDAB, this hears any kind of appeals from developments that happen in and around not just Drumheller, but in the Palliser region. So everywhere from Oyen down to Carbon and everywhere in between. So this is sometimes we have 0 per year, other times we can have 5 or 6 per year, depends on the case. So thank you very much for both taking the training to do that as well. So what we don't have is we need someone that can be trained for the assessment review board. Training, just on it, training must happen and certification must happen every 3 years. So Councillor Price, who received her training for SDAB, would have to get recertified within the next couple of years. I know Councillor Hanson-Zacharak was trained on the assessment review board, as I believe Councillor Zariski was as well. But you need to keep that training current. And so as of today, we do not have anyone as a council member that is trained and certified to be on the RARB for the area. So Councillor Hanson-Zacharak.
Was that not because we were going to do a regional ARB?
This is the regional board. This is the regional board, but you still need to be certified. Everyone in Alberta, so whether it's the public or councillor, still needs to be certified to sit on the board, on a board. And so you don't need to have it. We have a regional board. You do not need to have any representation from Drumheller. I believe there are a couple of members at large from Drumheller. Keith Hodgson, I believe, is one member who's a member and has sat on a couple. Oh, he's not anymore. Oh, okay. Stand corrected. So you can be trained on it, but we have been, for the last couple of years, it's been handled at a Red Deer, and they've had all people external to Drumheller sit on these appeals.
That's what I recalled. So I was just wondering if it's in the budget for Tom and I to get recertified, because I would assume you'd like to.
Okay, we'll go into that after.
Yeah.
Okay, Daryl, thank you. Can I get a motion, please, council? Tom?
I move that council approve the 2023-2024 schedule of council committees and boards and the 2023-2024 roster of deputy mayor appointments as presented.
Seconder, Stephanie? Comments? Sorry, Lisa.
If you'd like those comments now, I was just like, well, is there a budget to have 2 or 3 or however many people who are interested to get certified?
Yes, yes, there is. I think it would be 2 people.
2?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Crystal?
I just have a quick question. The Intermunicipal Development Plan Board, that is not the same as the intermunicipal framework? Or is that supposed to be the same?
No, they
Okay.
are 2 different
Okay.
ones. Yeah, so the Intermunicipal Development Planning Board, it was dealing with the extension of planning issues, so anything to do with land use stuff, whereas the Intermunicipal Collaboration Group was the group that deals with intermunicipal government, so anything between us and our 4 adjacent neighbors.
And there's no issue with me being on Palliser and MPC to be on the IDBP, that kind of all intermingles, really.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, especially
Okay.
if you're on MPC,
Yeah.
you're generally on the
Okay.
intermunicipal one.
Anybody else? I can't see Tony. Tony, you okay?
I'm here. Yep.
All good? Okay. All right, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right, let's move on now. Oh, sorry, I need a motion to adjourn that meeting, please. Lisa?
I'll move to adjourn.
Seconder, Steph, all in favor? Carried. Okay, we will start on the next meeting we have, and that's our regular council meeting, so I'll call this meeting to order. And Daryl, you have some introduction to do.
Yes, I'd like to introduce everyone, put her on the spot, to our new Director of Corporate and Community Services, Victoria Chan. Victoria started today, so welcome, Victoria, if you want to say anything or not, but
She's shy. All right, any additions to the agenda? Nope. All right, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as presented, please? Stephanie?
I move that council adopt the agenda for the October 16th, 2023 regular council meeting as presented.
Seconder? Patrick? All in favor? Carried. All right, can I get a motion to accept the minutes of October 10th, please? Stephanie?
I move that council approve the minutes for the October 10th, 2023 special meeting as presented.
Seconder, Lisa? Comments? All in favor? Carried. I get a motion to accept the October 3rd regular council meetings, please? Patrick?
I move the council approve the minutes from the October 3rd regular council meeting as presented.
Second, Crystal? Comments? All in favor? Carried. Okay, let's move on to 6.1.2, please, Daryl.
thank you again. So I'm going to preface this bylaw by that. I think one of my common lines is that in Drumheller, property lines are a mere suggestion, and oftentimes people encroach on other properties. This is one such example. There are a number of different property owners in this area. This is for everyone's reference online. This is by Grove Plaza, so by Travel Lodge and that area in there. So there was a berm that was constructed by the province of Alberta on land that was mostly owned by the province of Alberta in multiple different departments back in the 80s, 90s. However, some of it was actually constructed on adjacent lands that we then, as we expanded, we needed to actually now acquire those lands last year. And in addition, some of the property that was fenced well into the town of Drumheller's lands by the adjacent property owner, when we discovered this berm work and everything, this worked out to be roughly an acre of land that they were using of town-owned land. So through this work and through some negotiations with the property owner and with the province, the property owners in the province, We've done a bit of a trade of some land between land we needed that was actually occupying a drainage ditch, but was privately held or privately owned, and some of the land we had, which we didn't need, and we are so we swapped that with the landowner, as well as trying to remove some of the barriers around the drainage and the berm, and to make it easy and consistent for the future, because under the flood project, we need to own all the land. So where this gets a bit interesting in here is that some of this land was dedicated as a municipal reserve way back in the day. And the only way you can change a municipal reserve is by bylaw. And so what this is we're requesting to remove the municipal reserve status from this area in order for us to be able to then create a public utility lot for the lands we have, parse off the lands we don't need anymore to be able to trade and sell it to the adjacent property owner. If any of that gives you a headache, then you understand it's actually, this is one of the more complicated ones by far to deal with, because there were so many weird statements in here. So I so the bylaw is pretty straightforward. We want to set a public hearing date for a month from now. We want to be able to move through this so that we can try to resolve this hopefully by the end of the year, barring any issues, because this is step one of 3 steps that we need to do with this. So we need to remove the reserve status, then create the public utility lots, and parse off the other lands that we want. So what we're looking for is a motion to be able to that council gives first reading of this bylaw and sets a public hearing date for November the 20th.
Thanks, Daryl. I know we don't discuss first readings. However, just want to be clear, this is just more, again, just making sure that we can housekeep so that all the lands are switched and properly done for the flood mitigation
Yeah,
program.
absolutely. So really, this is about discovering some lands that we owned that had been used by an adjacent property owner, lands that were the adjacent property owners that were being used by us, and then trying to make an adjustment for the new berm construction that was done, as well as the drainage channel that was improved as all part of this. So really, it's correcting a whole bunch of stuff that, you know, in a perfect world would have been corrected 35 or 40 years ago when this was first built, but it's today.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion, Tom?
Yeah, I move the council give first reading of bylaw 10.23 and sets a public hearing for November 20th, 2023.
Can you read that one more time? I just think we missed something there. Yeah, I think you missed the North Drumheller berm, see. Just read that one.
This is another motion?
You're just reading this one. Just read that one.
Move that council give first reading North Drumheller Berm C, bylaw 10.23, and set public hearing for November 20th, 2023.
Seconder Lisa, all in favor, carried. Good? Sorry, we just had that kind of written twice there, so we'll just wanted to make sure we're covered, that's all. Okay, 6.2.1, please.
So I'm going to read this one just because it's her first day. So every year, council sets a tax recovery public auction date for and establishes the reserve bid values and terms for auction sales. So what happens is if someone doesn't pay if a property doesn't pay their taxes for 3 consecutive years, and doesn't come to the town with sort of an arrangements to pay. So many people do come with agreements or arrangements to pay. Then the town may elect to list that property for auction, and it could be bought or sold at auction, I should say, by the town from the property owner's under the property owner's auspices. So what we're recommending is that council sets a public a public auction date of January the 26th, 2024, using the values that were assessed as of July 1st, 2023 for the properties. So I believe that, and that the terms are, must pay via cash or cash equivalent. Okay. And that's just a little update, because I know this is, or a little bit of a change. We haven't talked about, we have talked about this, but just, what happens, we've asked about, in the past, council's asked about, if we've had a property that went up for auction a year ago, how come, is it still for sale? Can we still actually go back and actually advertise it again? And the answers are that, we have three options as the municipality. Once it's gone on for auction, we'd have to, if we want to try it again, we have to start the process over again. So 6 years after the first date, we could try it. So 3 years after the second time. We can register a tax forfeiture title. We can issue a clear title under it, or we can wait 15 years. So in the Municipal Government Act, after 15 years of non-payment of taxes, the municipality can simply take over the property without any restitution to the property owner. And so most cases, we have in the last 2 years, we have taken a couple of properties over, not 15-year type of, where we have gone under the tax forfeiture title, because it does make an advantage for us. And so, and then we can, if we sell it, we are paid first, and then whatever is left over would go to the property owners from before. So, it's a pretty standard process. And so what we're recommending is that council authorizes the 2023 tax recovery public auction be held January 26th, 2024, and set the assessed values of July 1st as the reserve bid prices, with property being offered for sale, and set the terms and conditions for the sale as presented, which is cash or cash equivalent.
Thank you, Daryl. Can I get a motion? Lisa?
I move that council authorizes the 2023 tax recovery public auction be held on January 26th, 2024, setting the assessed values as July 1st, 2023, as reserve bid prices for the properties being offered for sale, and set the terms and conditions for the sale as presented.
Seconder, please. Stephanie? Comments? Tom?
Yeah, the reality is, from my memory, that most of the taxes eventually get paid, and that these properties are actually not auctioned. Is that correct?
Sometimes is the case. So usually before it gets to this, we've let the property owner know that they're in arrears and that they become going for auction, and then they usually come in and make arrangements to pay. These usually, when they're at this case, even after this, we will see some of these properties, they may come off this list because the owners will make arrangements to pay. But it really depends on it. We have, like I said, we have taken over a couple of 2 or 3 properties in the last 12 to 18 months because they were worth it for the town. The town resold the properties. So it does depend. We do see an awful lot of people who get to about 32, 34 months and then pay or enter into arrangements and then sort of start the process over again. So that's a bit unfortunate, but it's a reality.
Crystal?
So when these do go for auction, what happens if there's like a renter in there? Like how does that process all work? And then they obviously have to be given notice, right?
Yeah, so great question. And that's actually one of the sales we took over last year, did have a renter. So basically we had to tell them that we're now the landlord, and here were the arrangements if they were willing. You know, we didn't double the rent or do anything different, but we basically took over the property and made a new lease arrangement with that tenant. So. But otherwise, if it wasn't, so that's an example that we use. But otherwise, if someone was to buy a property and try to do that, then it would be up to the tenant and the new owner.
Anybody else? Lisa?
So just on that line of thought, so if a new person bought the building, would the tenant then have the 3 months, uh, same kind of rental agreement before it can change, or can it change automatically after purchase?
That's a really good question for a lawyer, better than me. And I only say that because I think that, I'm not sure what the protections are to tenants in a case of a transaction that happens as a result of a tax sale. I think the hope would be that they would work out an arrangement on either a transition out of the property or continue on as a rental property, so.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I just wanted to make sure that perhaps there's some protection in place, but
Yeah, don't.
yeah, it's not a.
Anybody else?
And I should add that to Tom's point, so the number that we have listed here are four. The number that we had as of the beginning of September, I believe Marie said was about 45. So we have seen a lot of people sort of come in and pay their taxes to try to get off this list, so.
Anybody else? All right, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Daryl. All right, let's move on to 6.3.1. Please, Kelsey?
Good evening. So I'm here with a request for decision regarding the Star Mine Suspension Bridge and its tender award. Um, so a bit of background on this bridge is an inspection was completed in spring of 2020, which identified rot in the southeast support of the North Tower. Due to these concerns, the bridge was close to pedestrian access in the spring of 2020, and engineering commenced in the spring of 2021, which was put on hold in the fall due to landowner access issues on the north side of the river, which has since been the lands there have since been acquired as of April 2023. So a request for tender was put out at the middle of September where we received 4 bids, and the lowest bid was Volker Steven Highways in an amount of $274,700. MP reviewed the low bid and found it to be compliant with all the specifications and is recommending award to Volker Steven Highways. Um, Looking at the financial impact, because that's the second portion of this, Alberta Transportation did agree to fund $200,000 towards the bridge rehab, um, but we are falling short on um, and requesting additional funds for the amount of $152,600. So we have a motion before you to approve the award of the Star Mine Suspension Bridge repairs to Volker 7 Highways in the amount of $274,000. $274,700 and approve an additional budget of $152,600 to be funded from the 2024 capital budget.
Thanks, Kelsey. Can I get a motion, please? Crystal?
Sorry. I move that council approve the award of the Star Mine Suspension Bridge repairs to Volker Sidon Highways Limited in the amount of $274,700 excluding GST, and approve an additional budget of $152,600 to be funded from the 2024 Capital Works Program budget.
Seconder, please. Stephanie, comments? Lisa?
So, just out of curiosity, I know it mentions removing rotted section of the support, removal of 7 trees on the south side, and the greasing support cables, as well as the miscellaneous vegetation removal. Is there any work going to be done on the bridge itself? Like, cause I know from years past, the sides of the bridge, the metal mesh was bowing. So I just wanted to know if that is going to be taken care of, because there's areas where I know people have actually caught their foot on that bridge, so it's a safety concern.
It's something that we can go back and look at for sure, but these repairs were based upon the inspection completed in the spring of 2020, and that's where it identified most of the work to be done on the southeast supports on the North Tower.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Tom?
permit me, your worship, to get a little bit off track here, but who primarily uses the swinging bridge? Tourists. Rhetorical question. Who is paying for all of these repairs? Residents. Tax money. When we implement paid parking at the swinging bridge, it will be a perfect example of why we are implementing paid parking, because that money collected will go into this type of a project so that the tourists who are using this facility will actually be paying for these repairs. What an innovative solution. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, sorry. Council, can I, all in favor? Carried, thank you. That was a very good point, Tom, because I did actually have that the paid parking will offset the cost of tourism to our visitor, or to our residents, so thank you for that clarification. All right, that is the end of our agenda, so council, can I get a motion to please adjourn? Patrick,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
seconder, please. Crystal, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. And thank you to everybody who is with us today, and wishing you all a fabulous week, and take care and enjoy the weather. It's still supposed to be nice for a few more days. So take care.